In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a katana in Blender. I'm using 4.2.0. Now, first I'm going to go through the quick and easy method, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to go back and show you some more advanced methods on how to make the hilt wrap, which is the grip, more realistic, and how to add texture to the blade. But first we're going to do the simple approach and keep things basic. So with that out of the way, let's start with the hilt, which is the handle. Shift A, mesh cylinder. Let's give it 64 vertices to make it extra high quality. I do not model in low poly. I make everything as good as I can within reason. So yeah, you will not see me skipping out with low poly counts. I'm sorry. Now let's make this a longer, taller handle, taller cylinder by pressing SZ to scale it on the Z axis. And I feel about there. I don't need exact measurements. I used to have one of these, but you know, I don't anymore. And then let's make it skinnier for SY 0.5. So we scaled it on the Y-axis by half. So now it's half as thin as it was. And that looks good. Like that looks about right. I think that's a pretty good scale. Maybe 0.6 would be better. I don't know, but that's good enough for me. Now let's make the cap on the bottom. There's usually a metal cap on the bottom with some ornate decorations, which I honestly don't do sculpting, and that would be better for this. It's like sculpt some nice metal, you know, details. But what I'm doing here is I'm pressing E for extrude, moving down, and then S to scale it down. I'm just kind of manually making like a beveled, rounded edge. We can shade smooth this later to make that look better, but that looks fine to me. And then at the top, there's also a little bit of a metal cap here on the top. And then we'll have the guard, right, which will protect the hand. So let's press Shift S and cursor to selected. So what that does is it puts the 3D cursor right where our whatever is selected was, which was this top face. So now our 3D cursor is in the middle. Let's tab out of edit mode. Let's do Shift A. And I'm going to make a hilt design that's just kind of basic and symmetrical. And we're going to actually make it more squarish. I think traditionally they're circular, but we're going to make a square one. So make a cube, tab in edit mode and scale it down. And I'm going to move this on the Y-axis out a little bit away from the center point right there. Click on that outer facing face and just press E for extrude, scale it down a little bit, and then E to extrude it out again. There we go. And maybe out again and make a skinnier piece right there. Okay. Now we're going to copy this in a circle times 4. So tab out of edit mode, Alt D, RZ90, enter. So Alt D makes an identical copy. And then RZ, rotated on the Z, 90 does 90 degrees, and then enter finishes that. Now, once we've done that, if we've done that exactly as I just said, you can press Shift R, and it'll repeat that step. So now we have these identical copies. Now, Alt R is cool because it makes, I think it's called a linked copy. So any edit we do will be done to the others, which is great. So if we update this to make it better looking, these will also be updated as well. Now let's make like an outer casing here, and I'm actually going to go back on what I said earlier. Let's make it circular. So let's make a circle shape. Shift A, mesh, circle. Let's make this, let's do this on 100. There we go, 100 vertices. Scale it up. Now this is not a 3D shape. It's just a circle of vertices, which is kind of weird. But to make that solid, we're going to tab into edit mode, press F, I to inset, and go around there, and then delete that interface. So we have a ring. Then you can press A to select all, GZ to move it down a little bit, and then E to extrude it upwards. There we go. Cool. Pretty sweet. Maybe not traditional, maybe not historically authentic, but cool looking. Let's make the piece that holds the blade. The blade actually goes into the hilt. Did you know that? In an authentic katana, the blade metal goes down all the way down, and it just happens to be covered by wood, which is your handle. So we still have our 3D cursor in the middle. So let's Shift A and make a cube. Let's shrink it down. Actually up a little bit, and then we're making it real skinny by SY. Let's scale this down so that it fits within this upper cap. There we go, just S a little bit. Cool, so yeah, nothing is popping out or sticking out anywhere. And then the blade's gonna come out of here. So again, Shift S, and let's make a plane, RZ45. Scale it down a little bit. This is gonna be the blade shape, so watch this. SY. Oh yeah, you might see what I'm doing already. We're going to extrude the heck out of this to make this into the blade. So I'm going to press number 1 for a side view. And again, exact measurements would be great, but I think it's somewhere around here, right? You can do a Sephiroth sword, make it like out here, but we're not going to be anime about this. Anime is now, to me, a verb and an expression. It is not just a noun. Cool, so that's good. And then we're going to extrude this up one more time. And let's press S0 to make a nice point. And then GX to move it back and try to line it up, you know, like that. Now this is not a katana blade. You may have noticed. We're going to bend this backwards with a really cool trick, but we need some subdivision first. So just press Control R for loop cuts, or is it a ring? I don't know. And I'm rolling my mouse wheel up a lot. I'm at around, how many cuts is this? Yeah, it says it up here on the top left. I'm at 60 cuts. Doesn't have to be exact, but you know, more than 30, I would suggest. The more cuts you have, the smoother the curve will be. Now the blade should be its own object, but I realize this base piece is still in here. So let's separate this. This is a good trick to know. I'm going to select any face, vertex, or edge of this little cube. I'll press Control L and then P for separate and by selection. So now, based on that selection, this is a separate object and this is a separate object. That's perfect. And we want our origin point to be at the bottom there, which it's not. It's down here. So we can move origin points by pressing N, Tool, Origin, check Origin, and then just GZ. Move it up right around there. And then make sure to uncheck that. Awesome. Now the origin point, as this is rotated, right, is right where it needs to be. Okay. Now we're going to use a modifier, add modifier, deform. We're going to do simple deform, and we are going to do bend. Not that direction. Nope. We're going to go along the Y, somewhere around there. That's a nice gradual curve. You can control it, you know, do something ridiculous, but I think right around maybe 10 to 15 degrees is kind of authentic. I'll do 12. Cool. That's pretty easy, right? I love that. I'm going to show you how to do the cheating version of the diamond grip here, and then we'll do the real one. Okay, so we're going to use boolean cutting to make the diamond pattern pop out. You could just use a texture and be super lazy, just a two-dimensional, you know, different colored pattern to make it look like that. But I'm going to use boolean. So I'm going to do Shift D, and I'm going to scale this copy up a little bit. Now I'm going to press Shift S and put my cursor right in the middle. Shift A to make a cube. I'm going to rotate it on the Y by 45, just like that, to get that diamond shape. Scale it down a little bit, and then scale it on the Z axis like a lot, like 0.3, 0.4, somewhere like that. Okay. Now I need to make a whole bunch of these. I'm going to make a whole array. So I'm just going to do it like this. I'm going to move it down and then Shift DZ there. And now I did that Shift D step. Now if I do Shift R, it'll repeat it. This handle might be a little too long. Okay. Now I have these diamonds. I can cut these out of our new handle here. So with them first selected which is bright orange, I'm going to do Shift select the handle, which actually the diamonds are dark orange. The handle is bright orange. And then I should be able to press Control minus, and it should do an automatic Boolean, which you have to have Bool tool turned on in the add-ons for that to work. Look at that. Pretty sweet. Got a little bit of depth, right? That's better than just a texture. Looks nice. So we're cutting holes. Oh, I put it on fast, by the way. It's really slow if you don't. So we just cut holes in this guy, and we're seeing this slightly smaller handle down below it. That's what's happening. And we can put different textures on these so that the core is like red, and then the outer wrapping is black or whatever. Let's smooth this handle out because I can see all these lines. So select the handle, press W, and then auto smooth, and it is not working for me. That's annoying. I'll do shade smooth. There we go. Just the ordinary shade smooth. Now, when you shade smooth things in Blender 4.2, things have changed, and I have not quite figured it out yet. I thought I had it figured out, but I don't. So we're going to select those edges by holding Alt. You can just Alt-click a ring or a loop like that, and then we're going to tell Blender to shade them as flat. So with those, or sharp rather, press W, and then go down to mark sharp. There we go. So it knows to render those as sharp. And these, for some reason, already... Oh, it's not. It looks like it's flat, but it's not. W, mark sharp. Nice. The bottom ones can be smooth. That's fine. And I'm seeing a little bit of my core pop out of the hilt. So I'm going to shrink that inside there so it's hidden. All right, let's give it some textures. So select a blade, make a new material, call it blade, turn metallic all the way up, and roughness like really close to 0 because it needs to be reflective as heck. Now let's put an HDR so we can really see this thing. So go to your world tab, change your color input as an environment texture, click open. And now I have a whole folder of HDRs. If you don't, shame on you, fix that. Go to some websites online, download a bunch of HDRs, you'll be good. Okay, open image. And I don't want to see it in like the actual view. I just want it to be reflecting. So there we go. We got a shiny blade there. And now for the outer part of the hilt, which is actually the wrap. Let's call it hilt wrap. Let's make it black and not shiny. So turn your roughness up really high. Yep. And this top piece needs to be another material. So I'm going to hold Alt and click on that face, then Control plus to grow that selection to that top face and that bottom rim there. And let's just make this, I'll just call it metal. I'll make it kind of a darker metal all the way up. I want this to be like chrome, so leave it somewhere around there with the roughness and click assign. There we go. We can make all these things the same material at once by selecting all the guard pieces and this cube, then select that outer rim, choose metal, and then Control L and link materials right there. Awesome. So we just linked the materials to that. I'm going to bevel this cube a little bit. It's just too perfect. Maybe everything is too perfect too. I don't know. A slight bevel just really helps with the realness of the edges. Things that are too sharp don't look real. And grab all these outer edges. There we go. And Control B. Nice. Oh yeah. Already looks better. Now this bottom cap needs to have that metal texture too. Control plus 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 and assign. There we go. Oh, let's grab the inner core and give it a cool red color. Go pop of color here. And not reflective. Also turn your IOR down a little bit so it doesn't like reflect highlights as much. A little bit darker red. Let's put some texture on the wrap itself to give a little bit more realism. And we don't need this annoying floor grid. So let's just viewport overlays and turn off floor. There you go. We don't need a floor. There's no floor. Let's split our view to make a shader window over here. I'm going to press T to get rid of tools. Change this one to the shader editor. N to get rid of their side panel. Shift A, bump. Shift A, ramp. We're just going to go backwards. Height. Scroll over. Shift A, noise. Texture. And then select noise texture and Control T. All right, yes, there we go. This looks horrible. Awesome. I'm going to try object. Oh, we need to apply our scale. Yeah, see, our scale is all jacked up because when you created the hilt. So let's press Control A to apply the scale and set it basically back to ones. See over here now they're all ones. Cool. All right, so now we can stretch it on the Z to make it more like squished. See, like that. And then maybe scale it down to like 1. Yeah, something like that. Now our bump is really strong, so we can turn that down a little bit. There we go. Gives a little subtle touch, you know, of realism. It's not amazing, but it's better than before. Now let's do a little bit more of a proper way of doing this wrap. So I'm going to select this outer piece, which has the boolean. It's over here. I'm just going to hide it and then make it not render. And I'm also going to select our boolean cutter and make sure I can't see that because that's annoying. So just press H. All right. So this is a weird way to do this. But let's do it. Shift A, make a plane. Tab in edit mode, rotate it for me on the X 90 degrees. Now it's inside here. So let's tab out of edit mode and let's move it out to where we can see it right above the actual wooden red piece. Okay, I'm gonna go to object mode as well. And let's turn on random color. That way every object has its own random color just for reference, right? It's not gonna render like that. We need to give this a whole bunch of subdivisions. So tab in edit mode, press F3, subdivide, and let's go up to 10. That'll be good enough. Maybe 16. Okay. Now we're going to twist this because the way that a katana hilt is wrapped, it is wrapped with cloth and it's twists every time it goes to the flat side, then twist around and flat side and so on and so forth. So we're going to go to modifiers and do simple deform. And we are going to do twist, but we're going to twist it 180 degrees, kind of like that. But we need to rotate this 90 degrees downwards. So RX90, there we go. And we're going to squish it this way, like almost to flat. Cool, that's our twist. And then scale it down this way as well. Move it away from the red so it's not inside the handle. Awesome. Now, if you have something selected and you press the period button on your numpad, it'll center and zoom in on it. which is a really great way to get accurate without doing a whole bunch of keyboard craziness. Just getting it right above the red wood hilt. Awesome. Little bow tie. And we can, just for fun, we can do an array at upwards, 0, and then 1 on Y. Oops, wrong direction. 1 on Y. There we go. Make a bunch of these. Oh, it's slowing things down because I have so much subdivision. The price I pay for good-looking models. You can do it. Come on. I'm only at 7,000 faces. All right, now we need to wrap this around and make it like, you know, wrap around. And we're gonna actually also gonna have to mirror this over here. So let's do a mirror. Also, disclaimer, never done this before. I just thought of this and I was like, yeah, I can make it work. But we need to use a mirror object reference point of the actual hilt. Where is it? It is Y, yeah. So with cylinder, which is this red, you know, the wood handle selected, it's going to mirror based on the origin point. And the origin point of this is, of course, like smack dab in the middle of everything, right? It's like perfectly centered, which means we have the tie twisty things on both sides. So we need to somehow, let's see if I can figure this out on the fly. We need to wrap this around the handle there. So let's, before I can move this edge in, because this twisting, deforming modifier over here is doing some crazy stuff to our mesh, I'm going to apply, and that will simplify things a lot. Now I can actually move stuff the way they should move, because before it was going crazy. So so again, with proportional editing turned on, which is up here, I'm going to set it to sphere and just see how this one works. I can move things, and the rest of it moves with me, but at a different rate, right, to get a curve. So let's see if we can use that to curve this. We might need to actually rotate it and then move it down, but that's obviously not going to work very good. So let's try RZ, and using my mouse wheel, I can increase that, you know, radius of what's being turned. Let's try different. Let's try inverse square. Control 7 for a below view. And then can we move it like that? Ah, almost. Let's try sharp. Maybe we can do that and then grab some of these individual edges and just manually move them down. We might just have to do that. So I'm going to turn off proportional editing, and I'm going to move each one down just before it pops into the red. So that's GY. Sometimes you just got to do things the hard way to make it look great. And I'm holding Alt and clicking on that edge. Some more subdivision would make this look a lot better. Move this one on the X to make it a little bit tighter. If you press GG, by the way, you can slide things. Probably just going to speed up this boring part because I think you get the point. All right, so I did both sides. I just kind of manually, maybe shrink wrap or something else would help, you know, do that a little bit more automatic. Oh, let's turn on our merge. So there you go. If you turn up your merge just far enough, it'll merge these two edges together and make it look like they're connected, which they're really not. And then last, let's smooth this. So W shade smooth, and let's add some thickness to it because it's just really like super, it's two-dimensional flat. So let's do generate and solidify, and this will add some thickness. Oh, it's doing some weird stuff because our normals are reversed on one side versus the other. I don't think there's anything we can do about that. There we go. I'll just leave it like that. That looks sweet, man. That looks very accurate. Size it down just a little bit. You go underneath that ridge. Nice. Now let's see if we can make an authentically dynamic texture. Oh, let's actually split it this way. Go into material mode. You can hold Z, by the way. Get this menu, material preview. Shader editor. New, and let's call this wrap. Let's do similar to what we did before with the noise texture. Control T. All right, now I want to wrap this in the right direction. Let's see if UV will do anything helpful. I hope it stays. Oh, yes, it did. Nice. Okay, now we can shrink this vertically. How does it work? Y. Set it down to like 1 or 2. Oh yeah, that's what I was hoping it would do. Oh, it's a little funky over here. So let's see if we can fix that. Let's go to our UV editor, see what UV is doing. Oh man, it got distorted. Dang it. I wonder if I press A and unwrap. Unwrap? Nope. Unwrap. Smart UV project. No. Unwrap. Cube. Ah, dang it. It's a really complicated UV thing going on here, so not sure I can fix that. Maybe proportional editing screwed me up. Let's try Alt-E. I think that might have fixed it. Ooh, that might have just done it. So with all the faces selected over here, and make sure this is turned off, this little sync selection, press Alt-E. That's a trick that I use to fix cylinder unwrapping to make it flat like this for textures. I think it uses magic squares or UV squares add-on, which I believe is now included. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. But that fixed it for me, so that's sweet. Let's make this a little bit more stretched, like that. Cool. And we want the, so we don't need UV anymore. We're good. We want the actual color to be black because it's black cloth. Nice. And then I do want like a cross texture to go the opposite direction to give a little bit of like a thread thing going on. So Shift A mix color here. Shift D these. UV. Pop it down there, and we can do a mix 50-50, but instead of squeezing this on the Y, we're going to squeeze it on X, maybe like 7, and put Y back to 1. So you can see, there you go. Okay, maybe I'll do some more. It's giving like a other direction there. The vertical threads can be just more subtle. There we go. Yeah, that's cool. And this is not reflective, so turn roughness all the way up. And maybe turn that strength down a little bit. You don't need to be crazy bumpy. Just enough to catch the light and look good. Sweet. We can give this wood texture some imperfect noise texture going on. I love procedural noise texturing. It's just so fun for me because I'm not using images. And it's endless tech detail. It's incredible. All right, contrast. Detail up, roughness up. There we go. Just a little something, give it some unevenness. And you can also throw in some ambient occlusion to give it some more realness. So here's a cool trick. If you just want a solid color, that's okay. You can drag your solid color to color A, plug this into B, put it to multiply, and plug it back into color. So we still have the red, but we also are layering on top ambient occlusion using multiply mode. So if we go to rendered view, see what this looks like. Yeah, it's subtle. You can only really see it where the shapes are intersecting. See? Oh, okay. Yeah, you can kind of see it underneath the wraps too. Just adds a little like shadow kind of effect. But these guys, you know, swords are polished very well. So I'm not going to add imperfections here, but I do want to add some noise here. And I'll just copy and paste this little setup if it'll let me. Oh, okay. Now it worked. It didn't work earlier. That's dumb. Plug it into roughness. And yeah, make it a little bit less subtle. I mean, more subtle. Also, I feel like it's kind of low. Let's move this whole hilt guard up a little bit. And make your white point less white so it'll be shinier. There you go. So the flattest is 0.4, the shiniest is 0.0, the black. Another crazy thing that I did is I went into Photoshop and I made this curvy texture, which tiles, right? It perfectly loops repeatedly. And I did that to add to the blade because I've seen a lot of katanas have this kind of a like finish. It's like a polish pattern. I don't know what it is, but it's very unique and it's along the blade. So you can make this in Photoshop. You can screenshot this and steal it. I don't care. Or just make this in Blender using Bezier curves or something and just render it as an image, black and white. And so, yeah, let's lay that onto the blade. We're actually going to make 2 blade textures. So we'll make another blade. So we'll make another blade texture and then click the make, what's that called? New material, but it makes it a copycat of the first one. And we're going to apply the second blade with 001 to the back side of the blades. So I'm going to click on the first face and all the way to the top and hold Control and click on the last face. And then same up here, and then Control click all the way to the bottom one. There we go. So we'll only have the back side of the blade because I think that's where that texture is applied, not to the front. And then in materials, apply the 00 material to that. And let's load up that texture for the katana blade. Open. Right there, plug it into roughness. And let's make a ramp so we can control, you know, the black and white points there. And we want this to repeat like a lot. So let's go to UV editor and then press U over here with these faces selected. And let's just do unwrap. Oh, look, perfect. Yes. Now A to select all and just size it up big time. We got to move it over. Awesome. Now I think it's backwards. Let me R180. Yeah. There. Now one side looks great. The other side is missing it. So we need to grab these. Like this is one side of the blade. This is the other. So let's see if we can grab these and separate them. I'll just actually do it manually. Click on the bottom, control click at the top. And now I can move G X to move it on the X. Oh, it's also backwards. So R180 enter, GX in the UV editor. There we go. Sweet. And they are still lined up. I got lucky. Cool. Now we don't want this to be true white, right? Because that's not accurate. So let's go to the shader editor and let's control essentially the white parts here are non-reflective, which is this white color handle, which is a value of 1. So if we turn 1 back down to something low, yeah, there we go. It blurs only that part. Sweet. I love swords, if you can't tell. Yeah, that looks great. Now, normally on shiny stuff, I add some noise to make it less perfect, but a katana sword needs a shiny blade. I do want the hilt, the guard to be a little bit shinier, so that looks great. I don't like this top here. Maybe I'll make this metal. Control plus, assign it the metal texture. Assign. Oh, we didn't get the cap. Select the bottom face. Control plus, 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 plus. Assign it metal. Yeah, nice. Alrighty, that's it. Oh, one more thing. This looks a little like too sharp right here. So I'm going to select Alt. I'm going to Alt click this ring right here and just bevel it because it's too, I don't know, too sudden. There we go. And that did mess up our texturing, right? No. Let's shade this as smooth, but we want this edge and this edge to be sharp. So W, mark sharp, and maybe the actual edge. Yeah, I guess all 4 of these edges will be marked sharp. But this part is now shaded smooth, and you don't see the polygons. Sweet. Alrighty, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you learned some great tricks here. And I know this was kind of a fast one. Maybe it's because I haven't done a tutorial in a while. I don't know, but hopefully it wasn't too fast. You can always go back and rewind, ask me questions in the comments down below. And let me know what props or scenes or Blender techniques you want to see more of, and I'll do more of that. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.